Hi guys! So, I don't know about you, but my favorite thing on BookTube right now is all of the amazing tags. In fact, over the past week, I've kind of caught myself binge watching BookTube tags. I just think they are so fun. I love how creative they are and how they get so many people involved into just this one game. So I decided I wanted to try and make my own. So since some of my favorite things in the whole wide world are zombies, I decided to go ahead and use that to create the zombie apocalypse tag. Here's how it works. Now don't worry, even if you are not a zombie buff like I am, I will explain it to you and it's going to be so easy, you'll totally be able to rock this tag out. Even though there are different spins and different twists on the zombie genre, there are a couple of things that are always going to stay the same, and those are what we are going to be using for our zombie apocalypse tag. First, there is always an outbreak of some sort, whether it's a virus, a plague, something happens and people get turned into zombies. Once those people get turned, they start chasing around all of the other people, and there are either people who get eaten or there are people who live and they are the survivors. Our zombie apocalypse tag is going to follow those three people. There are going to be either the people who get turned, there are going to be the people who get eaten, and there are going to be the people who survive. Hooray! Hopefully, our favorite characters survive. Because, of course, this is BookTube. We want to make it bookish. So here is where our book spin comes in. What you are going to do is you are going to pick 3 books. Now, for those books, we're going to do a little bit of a variation to keep things interesting. The first book you pick is going to be one of your absolute favorite books. So you have some of your favorite characters. The next book you pick is going to be a meh book, and so you've got some characters in there that, you know, maybe you wouldn't be so sad if they died or something. And your last book is going to be an ugh book, a book that you just hated, and honestly, you're kind of like rooting for the zombies in that case, right? So we've got a good variety of characters to keep our tag interesting. All right, so for my books, my favorite book, I decided to go with Harry Potter. It's a wonderful book. It's probably a favorite shared by most of you guys, and I just love the story. So I picked Harry Potter as my favorite book, and the first character I chose was kind of standard, Harry Potter. He's the main character. I figured it was probably appropriate that he was involved in the zombie apocalypse. But for the other 2, I actually went a little bit of a different route, and I chose 2 characters who I felt had deaths that maybe should try and be avoided. And I'm going to call this kind of a redemption round, and I am going to put in Dobby and Sirius Black as an attempt to save them, because Dobby, when Dobby died, I cried and cried and cried. So Dobby needs to not die. In fact, I'm going to do like hashtag save Dobby, because Dobby needs to live. So I'm going to do my best, Dobby, to help you out. The next one, Sirius Black. Guys, Sirius Black's death, like, wrecked me. So if I can, I am going to save Dobby or Sirius. Like, that's ultimately, in the zombie apocalypse tag game, that is my main goal. If I can save one of them, I will consider this a success. So these 3 are my characters, and I'm going to drop them into my handy dandy cup. For my meh book, I decided to go with Asylum, and actually it's not even Asylum, it's really Sanctum, because I really enjoyed the book Asylum. When I read it, I thought it was a different twist. It was more of a horror book and it was just something kind of fresh that I'd never really read before, and I really enjoyed it. And so I went out when I finished it and I got Sanctum, really excited to jump into it, and then Sanctum just really didn't do it for me. I was kind of disappointed because of how much I enjoyed Asylum. So that is my meh book. And for Sanctum, I actually did just go with the 3 main characters from that one. So I put in Dan and Jordan and Abby, and so they are also going into my cup to see who will survive the zombie apocalypse. My book was actually probably the easiest book for me to choose because there's only one young adult novel that I've ever DNF'd, and it was The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Like I said before, I've read Twilight. I enjoyed Twilight when I read it, so when I saw that Stephanie Meyer was coming out with The Host, I was pretty excited. I got the book, and I started reading it, and ugh, like I couldn't get into it, and I don't know if I did not like that book. I didn't like it. So picking the characters from this was actually a little bit harder since I DNF'd it, and honestly, I couldn't really remember the characters because obviously they just didn't hold my attention, so I had to kind of go back and look. But so when I was looking through the characters again, I decided that I would go with the main character, Melanie, at least the main character who is the one holding the alien in her body. And then, of course, the alien, or her parasite, Wanderer, is going into the cup with Melanie. And then my third one, I decided to go with Uncle Jeb. Since he was a survivalist, I figure if you're going to be doing a zombie apocalypse, you got to have a survivalist somewhere. So those are my books and those are my characters. Now for the fun part. What you're going to do is you are going to stir, 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 and there are actually going to be 4 rounds. The first 3 rounds are going to be to kind of get to the ultimate survivor round. What I'm going to do for the first 3 rounds is I'm going to pick 3 characters, and then I will assign them their role, whether they are going to get turned, whether they are going to get eaten, or whether they are going to survive. The sticky part is if I pick one character to survive and then say I pick Dobby next, then Dobby's either going to have to get turned or he will have to get eaten, which I really don't want to happen. So I have to be kind of selective when I assign these roles. Now I'm stirring up my cup really good so I don't see, and I am going to pick my first character for the round. And my first character is Melanie from The Host, and she's the one who has the alien. So that one's actually going to be kind of easy for me. I'm just going to kind of keep her with the status quo. She gets turned or stuck with an alien in the first round. In the zombie apocalypse, she's going to get turned into a zombie with this round. So there's that. What's going to happen next? Who's going to be next? Sirius Black. Okay, well, Sirius is... I'm going to save him. I told you guys if I could, I was going to save him, so I am going to save Sirius Black. So Melanie is my turned. Sirius has been survived, and that means the next person I pick is going to get eaten. Jordan from Sanctum got eaten. Ugh, I don't know. Jordan's pretty broody. I imagine he would taste kind of bitter. Ugh. Okay, so round 1. So Melanie is turned, Jordan was eaten. I did manage to save Sirius, so that's excellent. I am going to take him, and I'm going to set him aside for the last round, and I will tell you what happens with that in just a minute. So let's go into round 2 of my zombie apocalypse. Who are my next 3 that are going to be hanging out? First, I have Dan. Okay, Dan. Let's see. I feel like Dan, I definitely don't feel like he would be a survivor. He just doesn't seem like he's got anything like super special about him. I'm going to go ahead and say Dan would probably get turned. I feel like in a zombie apocalypse setting, Dan is going to get attacked. He is going to get caught. He is going to get turned. So Dan is my zombie in this group. So after we go with that, let's see who else is hanging. Who's hanging out with Dan? I don't know. Who's hanging out with Dan? Harry Potter! Harry. Let's see. Harry and Dan. That's kind of an interesting combination. Would Harry get eaten or would Harry survive? Well, I mean, I'm kind of scared to say this because like I said, I don't want to pick Dobby next and have him get eaten. But I do feel like if of the characters that are in my cup that are left, Harry probably would actually be the one to survive. So I'm going to say Harry survives. And so that means the next person I pick is going to get eaten. And I picked Dobby! Oh no, I just killed Dobby! No, and he's probably not a very big meal either. Poor little guy. I'm sorry, Dobby. And I think that's probably a worse death. Like, at least in Harry Potter, his death was quick and easy. Like, he gets eaten. Ew. All right, so my third troop. Wanderer, the alien. I'm going to say she gets turned. That's going to be an easy one. She's going to get turned because obviously she's an alien in the host, so it's probably not too big of a stretch to imagine her as a zombie. So she got turned. Then we have Abby. She is an artist in Sanctum. She's probably my favorite character of the 3 in Sanctum, but I just don't think she would survive. So I'm going to say Abby gets eaten. Abby's eaten. And then that means my last character is Uncle Jeb, who is a survivalist. So actually that kind of is fitting that he survives, at least in the first preliminary rounds of the zombie apocalypse. So now I have my 3 characters, and this is going to take us into the final round. And this is really where the game kind of gets interesting and basically where the champion or ultimate survivor is declared. So we have our 3 survivors from the first rounds, and now basically what happens is they form a super awesome group. And so we've got Uncle Jeb, Sirius Black, and Harry Potter. I have no idea how they managed to meet up or like what's going on in their world, but now they are traveling together to try and survive the zombie apocalypse. So if you follow zombie movies, this is usually what happens, and this is how our story is going to play out. More often than not, what will happen is one of our survivors will get bitten and they won't say anything. And they don't say anything because they don't want to get kicked out of the group or killed. What happens then is this person who gets bitten always, undoubtedly, turns into a zombie. And then they end up killing and eating another one of the characters until basically at the end we are left with one survivor. So this is what's going to happen with our final round. We are going to put our 3 back in our cup, and we are going to pick them in order. The first person we pick out is going to be the person who gets turned. The second person that we pick is going to be the person who gets eaten, and that leaves the final person as our survivor. So for the first few rounds, you kind of got a little bit more of a say and you got to pick a bit more. This round, it's all up to chance to see who the actual final victor will be. Are you ready? All right, let's see who's going to be my survivor. So the first one we pick is going to be the person who gets turned, and that person is Uncle Jeb! Oh no! It looks like our survivalist got bitten or scratched or something happened and he was infected, but he didn't say anything. He's such a stink face. And so he didn't say anything, and so they follow along, he and Harry and Sirius, and they're trying to run away from the zombies until all of a sudden Uncle Jeb turns and then he bites and catches and eats Harry Potter! And Harry got eaten. I guess his broomstick did not help him out this time. Didn't work. And that means our final survivor is Sirius Black. Hooray! I was able to save one of them at least. I'm guessing it probably was because he used his animagus status and he turned into the dog and he ran far away and fast and then he made it to safety. So Sirius, he is our ultimate survivor in the zombie apocalypse tag. Now it is time for you to go ahead and play it yourself. So tag, 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 tag. You're all it. If you like this tag and you want to see more from me, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, you can follow me on Twitter at _JM_Sullivan. I would love to talk with you more about books, characters, zombies, sparkly unicorns, really whatever you'd like. I love to connect and I love to network. Other than that, I am going to get going because, of course, you don't want to get caught sitting around if the zombie apocalypse is coming. We have to prepare. I will see you later, and until next time, happy reading.